All right. Welcome, everyone, to the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting, February 17th, 2026. We'll call the meeting to order. Corey, if you could take the roll.
You bet. Commissioner Berth? Here. Commissioner Burfelt?
Here.
Commissioner Cunningham?
Here.
Commissioner Giacoletto? Commissioner Giannini?
Here.
Commissioner Prosser?
Here.
Chair Shore?
Here. Thank you. And we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Looking at the agenda, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you. And
I'll second it.
thank you. And did everyone get a chance to look at the minutes? Any questions or comments? Nope. All right, we'll look for a motion to approve.
We've made the motion, just vote. All in favor, say aye.
Oh, of the agenda?
Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you. Okay, so we're still on the agenda. All in favor of the, to approve the agenda, say aye.
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 Thank you. Any opposed? All right. Now, moving on to the minutes. Any comments regarding the minutes? No. Okay. For motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and minutes from November 18th are approved. So now it's open forum. If there is anyone here in the audience that would like to step up, you are more than welcome to come do so. And seeing none, we will move on to, let's see, new business, election of chair and vice chair. Do you want to take over, Corey, or do you want me to?
There's a template in the packet, but essentially, I mean, certainly I can help read through this for you. We're looking for a nomination for both chair and vice chair to serve for the next calendar year. So nominations can be any member of the commission, be given by any side of a self-election to that. And the commissioner, if you are nominated, you do not have to accept that nomination. So if you're not comfortable or interested in serving in either one of those roles, even if you were nominated, that is certainly your decision to make. And so that would void that nomination and move forward from there. I can state that I did hear from Commissioner Giacoletto earlier today, and I wanted to just note that he is not interested in serving in any of the chair or vice chair positions, so would refrain from a nomination in that spot. So at this time, we can move to through as described in the packet, open for nominations for chair and vice chair separately, please.
I'll start with a motion to nominate Jen Shore for the position of chairperson.
So do we second?
You don't have to.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Well, I would nominate Mike to be vice chair.
Is there any others for chair?
Motion.
Any interest for chair? Chair Shore, would you accept that nomination?
I will accept the nomination.
So we can go ahead and, we wouldn't, obviously, with her being the sole nominee, we do not have to vote to accept that. That will happen naturally. So you are additionally appointed to chair for another term.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, everyone.
So go ahead to the vice chair.
Okay, yep, so I'll nominate Mike for vice chair.
Okay, I accept.
I'll second.
Any others? No? Okay, well, congratulations. Same
All right.
as the chair, so that was pretty smooth and simple.
Yep.
Thank you guys for your commitment and ongoing responsibility to support the commission.
All right, so moving on, excuse me, staff updates, and we have the park improvement plan.
Yeah, so at this time, I'd like to bring up Nikki Schlepp from LHB. She's right here. LHB is the firm that the city of Oakdale has engaged with them to help us with the final planning and design of our 2026 park improvements. So we do have a short presentation here that I will let her take on, and just for a reminder of the commission and for the general public that this is really meant to just be an overview of confirming what parks will be seeing work in 2026 and 27 as part of the 2026 CIP, and stepping back even on a broader scale as part of the Parks Master Plan that both this commission and the city council worked through and ultimately adopted in 2025. So just wanted to, part of that, we wanted to ensure that there was a lot of engagement as much as is reasonably valued. And so we're happy to have Nikki here to kind of just give us a brief update on what that's going to look like for the 2026 year.
Okay, thank you, Corey. And Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners, thank you so much for hearing me out tonight. I am Nikki Schlepp. I'm a senior landscape architect with LHB. LHB is a multidisciplinary firm, and for those that maybe have not heard of it, we employ engineers of all types, architects. We are known for our sustainable design practices. And we, as a team, our landscape architecture group, our civil engineers work really closely together. We've delivered several park improvement projects in the Twin Cities metro area. Just in the last 5-6 years alone, we've worked with Roseville, Brooklyn Park, Vadnais Heights, Shoreview, among many others. So probably the most notable one that you may have gone to is Shoreview Commons. That's our work. So we're really just delighted to be here. We're honored to be working with Corey and the rest of the staff, and I'm excited to be with you tonight. Also, as part of our team, that'll be working on your projects. Our Braun Intertech will be performing the geotechnical work. They're a trusted partner that we've used for many years as a subconsultant for that work. And Rockwise Strategies is part of our team as well. Again, a trusted partner and subconsultant that provides third-party cost estimates that are informed by construction that's happening. And tonight really is for me to introduce you to the project framework and give you this opportunity to ask any clarifying questions that you might have. I'd like you to go to the next slide, Corey, please. So just as a reminder, what you're going to see for each of the parks for Gulfview, Tower, and Tanners are the existing conditions map next to your approved master plan. And we know that a lot of time and effort was given to creating that approved master plan. We know how much that takes, that effort, involvement, and how much community engagement also occurred. So we will always use that as our guide. That is our framework. We honor that plan. And reminder that we're not implementing everything. So even though you see the fields there, the parking lot, that's not part of this first phase. So we are really focused on, for starting at Gulfview, we're really focused on the playground. And that's the area highlighted in pink. There's going to be a concrete plaza sort of in the middle of the two containers. We're replacing that equipment, expanding that container, and looking to adjust the trail accordingly to fit that area in that zone. So that's really our focus there. And the surfacing would remain as engineered wood fiber. And go to the next one. At Tower, again, it's in another neighborhood park, relatively, it seems simple on the surface, but we know that this is such an improvement for this neighborhood and for this park. So it will mean a lot to those residents there. We are focused on expanding and renovating that playground equipment again, adding the trail to make sure that it's an ADA pathway from the street up to the playground. Here, the master plan shows the playground as one large area, not two separate containers. So we'll have to consider that and how we want to make that work. for all the equipment in the age ranges, and that the seating sits sort of off to the side. And then restoring the area that's used for sledding, slip and slide in the summer, making sure that that turf is restored for those events, and that we're not interfering with some of those activities as we approach the construction season for this one. The sand and the surfacing today would be swapped out, that'd be removed, and we're going to improve or upgrade to the engineered wood fiber here as well. I think I got everything there. So moving on to Tanner's Lake. This one, there's really 2 levels of improvement, I would say. This list right now is your base scope. This is the amount that we are approved for now. If the grant comes through for you for Tanner's Lake that we're hoping we'll know about in April, then the scope can be expanded to include items along the shoreline restoration, and there's a picnic shelter possibly move in this plan as well. So, but for now, we're focused on this base scope here. You see this list. Again, focused on that new playground, which could be really exciting to have it on kind of more on that hillside within the trees and some of those hillside opportunities. Restoring where the old one is currently, adding accessible trails as needed in that zone, and improvements throughout the park. And changing the Glenbrook Avenue turnaround right now, or cul-de-sac, to the small parking lot. Making sure that we're handling all the stormwater management that we need for all these improvements, and improving the tennis and pickleball courts, adding shaded seating nearby, and improving that ball field drainage, and making improvements to the boat launch for the ADA parking. Also, wayfinding and signage at this one is in the base scope. Go to the next slide. For community engagement, there's a long list here. And this is what's included in our scope currently. I'll say that this includes online surveys, in-person open house for all parks, pop-up events, so we're going where the people are, and we like to leverage those to coincide with events you already have planned near or at those parks. And then to create graphics or yard signs to support staff in getting the word out on social media as needed, and with mailings as well, if desired. Our approach is very flexible, though, because we want to meet you where you are and what's working, what you need the most. So within our approved budget, we can kind of shape this as we need to, and it's kind of a working live document that we're starting to create right now, our engagement plan with city staff. And in that engagement plan, we are tying those dates together. We're talking about when we're coming back here, when we're going to city council again, when these pop-ups would occur, and what events they would coincide with. So that is actively being worked on right now with city staff. But in general, we want to propose a more extensive engagement happening for Tanner's Lake. There's just more happening there, and it's a community park. And then have a more tailored, kind of specific and smaller approach to the neighborhood parks at Tower Tower and Golfview that are primarily focused on, the playground equipment options. Moving to our preliminary schedule, Corey. There's a lot of detail on this slide, and I don't expect you to read all of it, but I do want to highlight that with Tower and Golfview, because they're neighborhood parks with that smaller scope of work, they're being grouped together as a separate bid package from Tanner's Lake Park. And that way we can fast track Tower and Golfview parks and aim to bid them in early summer so construction can really get going in 2026. That also allows us time to wait a little bit on Tanner's Park before we dig into too much detail and spend too much of your budget on design until we know if we got the grant or not. And that also allows us more time for really, better engagement on Tanner's as well. I see a question from a commissioner.
I don't want to interrupt your presentation, but I I have several questions on Tanner's Lake, so whenever you want to deal with them.
Sure. I'm almost done wrapping up the
Yeah,
schedule.
no,
and then we
that's
can
why I
come.
was asking.
Yep, absolutely. This is the last slide. So I was just saying that we would start in more earnest, Tanner's Lake design a little later, more like April, so we like align that with knowing about the grant or not. So we're not getting ahead of ourselves, designing something that might need to be tweaked when we find out if we have the grant. That way, it really helps us to reduce that risk. And another way that we do that too, and avoid surprises in construction, is to get the geotechnical information and of course our survey crews out there right away, and they are out there. So if you see flags kind of popping up in those parks, that's what's going on. They're doing utility locates. This LHB has our survey crews out and might have them also into next week. And then Braun has geotech. If they didn't go out this week, they're probably going out next week. So just be aware that we're rolling. We're ready to go. And also embedded into that process, we have those cost estimates throughout the design to make sure that we're on track and staying within your available budget. And with that, I will be happy to take any of your questions. Thank you.
Okay, I don't know if these are going to be questions for you or for Corey. I don't think, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I don't think anybody knows the park at Tanner's Lake in this room better than I do. I grew up on that park. My parents' yard backed into the parking lot for the beach.
Okay.
Named after your dad.
Well, the ball field is, yeah. So where are these new trails going to be?
Well, I think that, I can certainly take that one, and I think that speaks to, I'll maybe back up a second, and for the commission members and members of the community that are watching, the plans that we were just laying out there, these conceptual design through the master plan, those are exactly that. They're conceptual, and I think that, with some certain requirements with stormwater and some setback things, that underlines the importance of community engagement and really shaping what the final will look like. Obviously we have a budget that we need to stay within, but it's a the council appropriated a favorable project budget for this aspect of the site. So I think that we'll be able to do good things with there, but we really need to get that engagement from the community to really refine what that looks like. So to your point about where those trails will be, I think it's going to depict on, we have to be cognizant of it. It really kind of depends on that final layout. Is this going to be a playground, or is this staying a basketball court? Does it end up getting converted to a tennis court? Are we putting the playground up on the hill? What is the final outlook of the parking lot look like and stuff in relation to, what future updates for the beach might be? Obviously through the grant, there's some shoreline stuff that could impact that. So, Glenn, Commissioner, I would ask that, there's some patience in answering that final question, and that's where we really want community engagement with that stuff, which is why Nikki had, pointed out on where we're, for lack of better terms, kind of, being patient with the Tanners project, because we understand the importance that is to the community and the personal connection and everything that people have to that facility. So spending extra time on that so that we can hear all those, that feedback will really help outline that. And I think that based on what that looks like, building off of what you see here on the screen, will finalize that. So this is, I know I'm kind of talking in circles there, but I'm really trying to state that come to the engagement, give us feedback on, based off of this, how we might want to see things, the different user groups, coming to do that, whether they're coming to a community engagement, but, certainly U.S. Commission members or anybody from the public, even if they aren't able to attend those, they can certainly reach out to city staff. They can reach out to any of U.S. Commission members or any council member also to provide feedback. So we really, really want to get that feedback to kind of define what that'll look like. So hopefully that kind of helps answer your question without answering it, I know, but
Okay, I'm going to guess then that a couple of my other questions will have the same answer. And if so, that's fine. The playground on the hill, is part of it going to be dug out to make a flat area where things can go? What I recall is that it's not a big slope, but it just goes up.
yeah, great question. That'll get finalized through survey work that's being done shortly, that'll really kind of, tell us and LHB exactly what the contours look like through there. So again, conceptually, we would like to do something like that. If for some odd reason the existing landscape prohibits that, we'll have to pivot a little bit, but that is happening. I just received a call from the surveyor late last week on scheduling, trying to look at scheduling when that can be done. And so that'll really determine what can and can't be done there. And that's why, this is just meant to be, hey, here's the steps that we're taking. When we know more, once we've collected that information, then we'll bring back, here's our options.
Yeah, if I could just add in, that's very, this master plan is very high-level concept. It's laying out the pieces that you wanted and the general proximity of where they were and the ideas behind what you kind of wanted them or hoped them to look like or incorporate some elements of. And by truthing it, now we get to truth it. And we're going to still use this as a guide. Lots of input went into this. But does that mean that that trail goes exactly where that is? Absolutely not. It just means we know we need an ADA path to that playground. Yep.
And, yeah, we've gone over all that of, it's not written in stone, this is exactly what's going to happen. I'm just going to make one more comment that was said from a resident living close by at that meeting that we had at Tanner's. She and a few others had mentioned that hill was widely used by residents for sled riding, and they would hope to see that still be the case. So
Good-
I'm just
good-
saying.
Okay.
Good feedback, and hopefully we'll hear more of that through the numerous different engagement opportunities.
But also, when you say if people come to us as Parks and Recs commissioners with some feedback, how do you wish us to address that? Just bring it up at our meetings, or?
Sure.
should
Yeah,
we
you
go-
can email me direct with that, or certainly bring it up at the next meeting. I would encourage, if you think it's anything that, use your judgment on what you think and wait, but I'm happy to take those emails at any time, and we can give it to the design team just for feedback, or at least incorporate in during the next community engagement activity. But you don't have to hold it. I say that because I want, people see you out in the community, or they recognize you, or some of them, maybe they might want to come to you versus, one of us or a council member. Please, by all means, use yourselves as a resource for a conduit of flow for information for us.
I only have 3 more.
I'm here to listen.
The building, is that going to be open for discussion on what's the best use of that building?
The existing, in time, I think that will be. I know as staff, there's discussion on how we can, I don't want to say revitalize that, but utilize that facility more for different programmings. And I think that depending on how it gets developed around that, will shape what those activities look like, whether that's a rented space that somebody can use for birthday parties or, kids' events or anything like that. That would be what our goal, or at least the conversations at the staff level. And I think that I can speak on behalf of the council that, they would like to see an increased use of that facility as well. But the steps before that, we've got to, let's get that, let's enhance the area to get that attraction to that facility. But that, it's certainly can be evaluated as an underutilized, resource that we want to figure out how we can capitalize on that. So it's part of the discussion, but what exactly that end game looks like is, again, forthcoming.
Okay. As Andy may know, my family has adopted Tanner's Lake Park for the Oakdale cleanup thing. I've been trying to do that for years and years. And so I'll be down there a lot, checking into things and looking at things. But the last thing that I want to ask, and we don't need to spend a whole lot of time, police presence in the park. Yeah, how is that going to be addressed? Because all my youth, we could look out the kitchen window or be in the backyard and see drug deals going on in the parking lot, and people getting drunk and stuff like that. And I just want to make a point that if it's going to be built up nice and everything like what we're talking about, it does bring in the criminal element. I hate to say that, but it's just something for you guys as planning to keep in the back of your mind.
Yep, appreciate that feedback, and certainly, I'm not going to speak for Chief Newton and his team, but definitely valuable feedback to receive, and we'll make sure that they're aware of those concerns.
Okay, I'm good.
Anybody else? Questions or? All right. Well, I'd like to thank Nikki for
Thank you,
time
Nikki.
tonight.
Thank you
And,
very much. It's nice to meet
you
you.
guys you'll see her again through different engagements numerous times throughout the year, so you'll get to know her and she'll get to recognize you guys a lot more frequently.
And I'll be out on the construction site at the end too, so Glenn, I might see you out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. Okay, moving on to the next item, if I may, Chair.
Yes, please.
So we just, the City Council and city staff has been working with a private developer to build a new park. It'll be a new city park. It's the first of its kind where the developer is actually, building the park. Aspects of this has come to this commission in the past for feedback on both playground and, overall layout. That was in probably late summer, early fall of last year, if I remember correctly. But happy to report that is moving forward, thanks to the council's recent approval of those plans and that stuff. So one thing that we just wanted to kind of get out in front of the commission was what the actual final layout looks like. So in your packets, there is a color rendering that ultimately shows where that what that park looks like, some wetland open space that'll be able for a walking area. This will have all concrete trails throughout. There will be a pretty sizable playground with equipment that will all have poured-in-place rubber around that playground. Again, this commission was a part of picking those final selections on that. Obviously, a parking area. There's a half-court basketball court, a couple pickleball courts. There will be a not a plumbed restroom, but there will be a place to use facilities, and then there will be a dog park in this ultimate facility, which is on the bottom side of that page, with a both large and small dog run area. So as we look forward to that, one thing that it seems like sometimes it kind of gets overlooked until towards the end of the project is what the naming of these different parks and facilities are going to be. So just wanted to, again, we're not looking for any action from the commission tonight on that name, but would look for, ask for you guys, the commission members, to think about various different names. And one thing that I wanted to point out is that also attached into your packet, the city does have a naming policy that outlines these kind of things. So within that policy, specifically section 10 and 11 refer to different things for naming of parks and different facilities and that. So as you think about that information, I think that I don't know that it would we'll be looking for anything. I'm fairly confident we're not going to be looking for any specific name ideas for you, maybe at our next meeting, but the upcoming, and us as staff will try to work with the council to maybe get a little bit more of a parameter of, kind of where that lies or what that looks like. But I would ask you, just so we don't drop it on you at a last minute thing, kind of just trying to plant the seed for you as you're out or you're meeting with your different community groups or you come up with different ideas, jot them down. You're certainly welcome to send them to me, but I would ask that, we would bring those up at, at an upcoming commission meeting once that'll be an agenda item that we'll actually get on there. So just wanted to touch on that, get that information to you. So happy to answer any questions on that if there is any.
Did I see on that memo that there was colors for the playground?
Yeah, the
Oh, no,
rendering in the
it's-
packet
yeah.
has some colors in it. Just outlines the green space areas and that kind of thing.
Okay,
Yeah. The outlined area in that document should be just that's the park itself. There's development and everything like that in adjacent sides there, but is yours not showing color?
it does.
Okay, sounds good. Perfect.
I was thinking, colors of the playground is what I
Oh,
was.
yeah, sure. No, this is just it's meant to just identify the areas of the distinction of the park itself. If black and white is kind of hard to
Yes.
differentiate between the building and, that's being built right now and the roadways areas. So for the Willowbrook or the playground itself was utilizing similar color concepts, but inverting them from what we see at Willowbrook. So it won't be a match. It'll have the same theme, but again, utilize the expertise of the playground vendor to propose to us, and ultimately that's what was approved by council. So it'll be not an exact match for that. The only thing, there's some oranges in this ones instead of some of those yellows or greens, however you want to do it. And the only thing that I asked that we did change at the end was some of those were in like the children's seating areas and stuff like that, and that can be hard to keep clean. Because of the bright color and to clean on a regular basis. So we inverted that and we'll continue to clean them, but it just aesthetically keeps, the facility looking a little bit cleaner. So, but ultimately it'll be a concept of the similar blues with, I believe it's a shade of like an orange instead of the greenish color. If that makes sense.
Very cool, thank you.
Yeah, we'll define what the actual poured in place rubber looks right before it's done, but it'll be along them. So those similar lines, good matching there. So any other questions on that? So I'll give some staff updates on behalf of recreation here that we've got. There was obviously so far things have gone really well. I'm not going to read through all of Julie's updates. You guys can, but just pointing out a few of them. As with the warm weather comes an end towards the indoor market, so we only have a few of those left coming up, with the last one being in March 21st. So before long, we will be going out to the farmers market and outside. One thing to note, and we'll talk about this and certainly communicate that with the community, but because of the impending City Hall construction project, the farmers market will be moved to the west lot over by just west of City Hall, over by the band shell and that stuff, just to make sure that we don't have any concerns with construction traffic and stuff like that. There will still be a portion of the primary City Hall lot to the north of the facility that will remain open to the public. We just felt it's a good place over there to ensure safety when everybody's walking around in different places. So there will be a change in some of those regular activities that rec might have held out in our front lot that will be moved to the west. But again, we'll make sure that's communicated to the community, especially as that time gets closer, and it does go out in our printed documents that should show the reflection of the different location. But definitely something good to point out. Ice rinks, it's been a really good year for ice rinks up until last week. Had a report from the team today. Full transparency, I didn't get a chance to fully read it, but it's going to be tough. I know it's going to cool down again here after next week, but we might be at the end of the rink season. They took a really hard beating over the last week, and areas that there's concrete or blacktop that's showing, and with us not having the real cold nights at the end, it's hard to make that ice, and it really, there's some areas that have some ice, but it becomes a safety concern if somebody can't see it hit the concrete or their skates cut through. So more information will come out on that. They are closed as of right now, but we'll see what Mother Nature allows us to do. But it's been a really good season. We were going in early December with ice rinks, and we've gone nonstop. So we surpassed by far what the amount of times that we had staff in the warming houses and stuff like that, and last year. So it was a good season, but I think we're all in a way, we like hockey here, right? But it is nice for the warmer weather to come back too. Other things, the indoor garage that's upcoming, our indoor garage sale is coming up. That's a pretty big event, Saturday, April 11th. I usually see quite a few hundred, 400 to 600 shoppers, that kind of thing. So encourage people to be aware of that and coming up. Another thing that's restarting is the community walk that is based on recording different amounts and rewards for the amounts that people walk in different areas of the community. And then also last, there's just for those interested in participating or being a part of our recreation programming and stuff like that, we do have some open positions that are open recruitments right now on our website, not only for recreation, but there is some for in our parks division for some seasonal assistance and stuff like that. So that's really the biggest on the just an overview on the recreation side of things. In the park side, I'd like to start out with I need to offer a correction to the previous meeting. There was a question about recycling in the parks, and I misspoke, and I need to correct that. I was under the understanding that all of our stuff did go to a single sort facility, and I was not. That was inaccurate. I talked to our disposal provider directly. Only a portion of that stuff gets separated out. So I do have a meeting with Hannah Dunn, one of our environmental specialists, who it's coming up in March to talk about expanding that throughout the rest of our park. So it won't be immediate, but we will be continuing to expand it. So I want to make sure that it's known that I did misspeak on that, but we're not where we could be, but we're making strides to get there, and we'll definitely continue to do that here in the upcoming calendar year. Other things with parks, obviously, parks maintenance, ice rinks have been the primary for operations coming up. We finally wrapped up the lighting project here down at the Walton Fields. They had just because of the soil conditions, although that lighting project went up last year, they have some really neat technology that defines the aiming of those lights. So they come to us all aimed in theory. And then after they're up, they go around with a light meter at night and they turn them on and see, and they had some low light areas. But just because of the soil conditions down there, it takes a pretty big truck to get all the way up to those things where they bucket up. So happy to report that project finally got done. But other things related to, we've been changing the level of service that we've been providing on our open trails, our community trails and that stuff. And hopefully community members would notice that, an elevated level of service at every snowfall. But otherwise, they've been predominantly working with our other street maintenance teams and our forestry division, doing a lot of tree removals and stuff like that, and both in various different parks. East side, we took a bunch of ash trees down, like right around the parking lot and throughout the park. Again, those were ash trees that need to come down, and eventually stump grinding will commence, and we'll see some replant in those areas. But it's a good time of year to do that kind of stuff. So the weather keeps up like this, we'll be rolling into park setup here in the next, potentially we could be looking at it in 4 to 6 weeks, where we're getting, thinking about getting that stuff back out and open on things. So again, parks maintenance, it's this time of year is a good time to just capture those things that you can't normally do during the summertime because you're overwhelmed with other stuff. But again, like I mentioned, for them, there is some open positions for individuals interested in participating in our seasonal position for our Parks and Rec team that goes all summer long. So whether they're college students or anything like that, the information's on our website. So I encourage you to go to that and ask for it. So the only other last thing that I have from a staff level is just wanted to ensure that the commission in your packet is the draft work plan for the 2026 Parks and Rec Commission. And we've talked about this before, looking for any feedback or any concerns, or if the group is, I don't need a formal vote on it, but if you guys are acceptance of that work plan as presented, we then present that to the council for adoption moving forward. Feedback on it?
I think it looks good.
Okay.
Yep.
No
Okay.
opposed? All right, thank you for that. So that's all that I have, Chair, for staff updates and stuff.
Thank you, Corey. Does anyone have any questions for Corey?
I had one question.
Yes, sir.
So you mentioned the recycling in the parks.
Yes, sir.
And I think right now Willowbrook Commons is one of, if not the only park that has a separate recycling option. Do you know what the new improvements to the parks, Tanners?
Yes.
Will that have,
Yes.
be something going forward,
Yeah,
a separate
yeah,
recycling?
for sure. New facilities will definitely work. What I was referencing is trying to incorporate it into some existing facilities.
Yeah, it just reminded me
Yep.
if that's the plan going forward
Yes,
to
sir.
have separate recycling.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for
Good
Corey?
question.
But
Um,
you're going to get the comments from us, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So moving into commissioner updates. So we'll start down here. Glenn?
I'm good.
Okay, Jan?
Well, I always bring up stuff with Wellness 50 Plus, and I was not able to make meetings about Summerfest that happened like in December. So I don't know what's going on with Summerfest. I just want to say that our Wellness 50 Plus group is interested in helping out in some way with that.
Okay.
Deb Cooney and I, last year for Summerfest, we volunteered to work with like Vicky and Larry Eberhardt on, we were just posted at a certain place where cars were not supposed to enter the parking lot. So in saying that our Wellness 50 Plus group would like to help, it's something volunteer along those lines.
Sure.
And I don't know who to contact, because I don't know who's overseeing that at this point, but.
Yeah, there's been some change in the OSCO group, but Mr. Eberhardt, if you're familiar with working with him, he's still active and certainly leading or helping to lead the charge on that planning aspects. I think that, there still be a Summerfest in some form. We're working on, in that group, working with city staff and council to try to kind of really refine what it looks like moving forward. But if you prefer, I can reach out to him and have him contact you, or you're welcome to
You could do it
contact
that
him
way.
directly.
Yeah,
So,
we're good with that.
okay,
Yeah, you have my contact
sure, yeah,
information through.
yeah, happy to do that. Yep, for you or, any other group, and,
Well, I can present it to the group once I kind of know
yeah,
some
absolutely.
ideas of what's.
Yeah, I'll send him a note tomorrow. Sure, absolutely. Sure, they'll appreciate that.
Yeah. Also plan on getting a group together to do a park cleanup, and we'll pick the parks that,
Awesome,
are
we
open.
appreciate that. Good.
Nothing for me this time.
I don't have anything else either right now. Mark?
No, I think I'm good today.
I have nothing.
Brett? All right. Andy? Excuse me.
Thank you, Commissioner, for having me. Congratulations to our chair and vice chair. Thank you for continuing on again, the good work you're doing. A couple things, just updates from the city. One, I will say, we referenced a grant a few times for the public. I believe it's a DNR grant, right? And it's to the tune of north of $700,000. It is absolutely massive to help with shoreline restoration. Other things, it would also offset some of the work that we'd already been looking at for the park. So hopefully that goes well. But beyond that, construction seems to be the majority of the updates I give these days, right? Chipotle is so close. It's going to open up any day, it feels like. I'm sure in the next month it will, which is good. And then Public Works, been a few delays with weather, but the end of March, early April, there's going to be a grand opening. Staff are going to start to move in. In fact, Corey knows, I think they've been moving furniture in and getting a lot of those details ready. But with any construction project of that size, there's a lot of final walkthroughs, punch lists, things that need to be buttoned up. And then, of course, we're aiming for June for the new police and city hall remodel. And that'll be a really big endeavor. It'll be 18 months where this will be largely shut down, which is why it's so important that Public Works opens, because we need the space. We need every square inch we can get. But I'm really excited about the parks engagement that's going to be coming up this year, and the investments are going to be made in these parks. So I appreciate all your work on helping solicit that feedback and giving us your own. Beyond that, happy to stand for any questions.
I have a question. When this building shuts down, like you say, I guess in June, will we be meeting at the Discovery Center?
Good question. I know the council is going to be meeting at the Discovery Center, and I would imagine that, the commissions will be meeting there as well.
So starting in June is the working assumption?
Yep.
Think when we finalize those dates, we'll be sure to share that out with the commissions and the public so they're aware of what there's a lot of logistics that are still kind of waiting to, really fall into place. As Councilmember Markham mentioned, the end there's a lot there. So, once we know what the timeline of Public Works to wrap up, we get through that ribbon cutting and then how long it's going to take to move. And we're currently having, discussions with different, in different areas of staff to get this facility built up there and, get everything lined up. So once all it's going to be sometime there around there. I wouldn't put a defined date, like starting in June, no matter what, that's when this is going to happen. But there'll definitely be communication out to the public on when that'll be in that range.
I guess I'm also going to reiterate what Andy just said, too, with the new improvements to the parks coming, because I think it is really exciting. And, for the past, year and a half, it's one thing to just see things on paper and to now eventually soon visually see the changes actually happening in the parks is going to be a lot of fun. So.
Yeah. No, we're looking forward to it. A lot of excitement, and we want people of all ages to be excited to be out in these parks and to spend their time there. So it'll be good. Any other final questions?
Nope.
All right. Well, hey, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Does anyone else have anything else they want to say before we?
I just have a comment saying
Yeah.
thank you for bringing us the dinner tonight. It was very good, and we appreciate it.
All right. Side note for the public, anyone listening, we don't meet in March, so the next meeting will be April 21st. So with that, I will look for motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We will see you in April
What was
21st.